What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode 33? Is it 33? I don't know. The episode, whatever it says the episode is on the title is the correct episode. Episode 33 of The Knife Guy. If you are new to my channel, you're new to this series, or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet and you have no idea where you are or who I am a knife guy. I'm a knife enthusiast, knife collector, knife user, knife enjoyer of many types. There are, of course, lots of different knife guys and gals out there, and we all experience, this knife world in a unique way, and in a way that's unique to us. But at the same time, our paths often intersect, and we experience a lot of the same things. And that's what this series is based on. I like to talk about those things, those common shared experiences. I like to lay a bunch of knives out that are either mine or some of my generous viewers. And I like to just sort of pick them up and flip them out and talk about them and give you guys something to sit back and watch or listen to, whether you are, sitting there on your couch watching, or you're doing chores and you just like background noise, or you're driving and you want to listen to something. Hopefully you're not watching if you're driving. But that's what this is. It was sort of inspired by Jim Skelton's Knife Rambles. I really enjoyed that. And so I do this once a week. I also upload every single day. I have knife content on this channel every single day. So if you're new, please subscribe and make sure your notifications are set to all, because there's a lot more content coming. And then you guys know the drill. I do, of course, have Patreon. If you'd like to support this channel, get yourself a sticker and gain access to my once-a-week Patreon exclusive content. There's a link down in the description. Anyways, what are we talking about today? I realized after unboxing these guys, and I want to be careful about my point. These were Kyle Roberts' two hinders that he sent, the new USA-made blade exclusive Wharncliffe half track, which is super cool, and then of course a full track, which I've already reviewed on this channel, but it'll make as a convenient comparison, and I'll do some other battle videos since I've got so many hinders laying around now. But oh my gosh, I didn't even get my hinder out. What am I doing? I didn't get my hinder out for the video. Let's scoot you here, scoot you back, and get my Excalibur in there. Anyways, so I realized after unboxing these, I was like, man, I am so, and it's like, it was no surprise to me. It's not going to be any surprise to any of my viewers, but I am so biased towards hinder knives. Like to me, like there's so much value there, and it's so easy. But I came into this world like lusting after hinder knives, and so now it's like, and I really believe what I say, and I believe in what I'm saying. I believe in Hinder Knives. I think Rick Hinder is a great guy. Really cares about his designs. He comes from a background, that would make sense in terms of design. Super experienced, and the end result is a fine product. It's very, very expensive, and for that reason, it's polarizing, right? So for me, it's really easy to recommend Hinder Knives now, having owned 25 plus. But somebody who's never experienced hinder knives, or coming into this world and they're like, what? Their knives cost $400? So I am like, I'm very brand loyal, very biased. And anything that Hinder Knives comes out with, I'm at the point where I just don't really question the design as much, because it's a Rick Hinder knife. I sort of allow myself to fall into places where it's like a perfectly cut hypothetical puzzle, and I'm like, I'll just lay this opinion nicely into place here and fit it right here. I have to be aware of that type of bias. Nick Shabazz talked about this one time, that people come down on him and say like, well, you might be biased here, you might be biased there. Bias is something that we can't really avoid. Each individual person on this planet is biased for or against one thing or another. In my case, many things, right? It's where my tastes come from. It's impossible for me to just have total objectivity across the board for everything, right? But anyways, that's really not what this is about. This episode is basically the brand loyalty that bias creates, and why it's fun, because it creates, there's general excitement for the next year. God, I love this Guardian Tactical. I can't wait to do the review on this. I'm gonna gush over that thing. There's general, excitement for the coming year for 2020, because it's like, ooh, what's gonna come out? What new interesting things are gonna come out with new, new companies, new designs, this or that. But there's a very specific type of like excitement that comes with like a brand that you just decide you love, you know? Like for people who exist solely in the budget knife world, I'm sure you guys are excited. You're like, man, Civivi's got the Backlash and the Stratera and the Shredder and the Praxis and, you know, all these incredible designs. I can't wait to see what they do in 2020, right? Because you're locked into that brand. You're like, you're waving their flag. You've got the branded underwear, you know, all that stuff. And that's fun, you know? It's exciting. I'm definitely that way with Hinderer knives. I am just like, Rick, sell me something. What's your next thing? I'll buy it. I don't care what it is. I just want the next Hinderer thing, right? I'm excited. I like that, you know, I'm aware of it, and it just makes me excited. Also, it's like the first time you handle a specific knife from a designer, like this was my first Freeman, the 451. Now I'm excited to see what Freeman does. This is really the first Hogue that I truly enjoyed. I mean, I can't remember the other model, but this Hogue Ritter is like, okay, now I'm my scope is on Hogue. Like now I'm like really interested. Definitely Guardian Tactical, right? The first knives that I experienced from each of these brands, not Hogue, but the first knife that like locked me in was like, okay, now I need to know what they're going to be doing, right? So I'm definitely excited there. But like Microtech, I'm always excited to see what Microtech comes out with. Yeah, they're expensive, you know, and, you know, maybe it would take me a little bit to build up funds to be able to purchase something, but I enjoy that. I enjoy the build up and the excitement. I love as we approach, you know, SHOT Show and Blade Show and New York Custom Knife Show. I love approaching that and just being like, what's coming out next? You know, it's like when your favorite band comes out with a new album, you know? Sometimes it sucks, but you're still like, you know, like, okay, I'm sure we've all done this, right? Your favorite band comes out with a new album. Okay, like, let me give you guys a perfect example. Growing up, I listened to a ton of Linkin Park. I know my demographic. I know that the vast majority of you guys who are watching are between 25 and 45 years old. So I know there's a lot of Linkin Park fans out there, right? Very sad, you know, what happened with the lead singer. But yeah, growing up, I listened to it a lot. And I remember, you know, Hybrid Theory being the big, like, oh boy, this band is awesome, right? And then they did the Reanimation, and then what was next? Was it Meteora? I don't know. But I remember initially, I was so excited for Linkin Park's new album, and then I listened to it, and I was like, it's not exactly what I was expecting. Okay, but I can kind of get down with this song. And I can kind of get down with this one, right? I mean, and then slowly, and I imagine a lot of the world was like that. Slowly, I just decided I loved all the other songs anyway, right? And that's kind of what happens sometimes with makers, right? I mean, the XM18, my Excalibur here, this is my Hybrid Theory. This is my my Crawling. Everybody knows if you're a Linkin Park fan, you know the song Crawling. So that's my Hybrid Theory, right? Love it. Now they came out with the half track and the full track, and they came out with the Maximus, the Jurassic, the MP1, whole bunch of stuff. It wasn't quite the XM18, but I still loved it. I still found reasons to love it. And at first I was like, it's different. It's not the XM18. But it's still Hinderer, you know? Just like Meteora was still Linkin Park. And then you just sort of allow yourself to fall into place. Now, that's not to say that they aren't actually good designs. The MP1 didn't take off the way that I imagine he had hoped for it to. The Jurassic, same way. Maximus, I think, will be fantastic once they convert it to the tri-way pivot system. And a ton of people love this guy. This is like a big deal. This one is going to be changed. The full tie version of the full track is just a little bit too big, too expensive for a lot of people, even shopping in this price range, right? But people still liked it. And so that's not to say that they're not good designs. They're just not... It's not the best design for me, and it's not the most aesthetically pleasing design of Hinderer. It's still incredible. I love it, right? I just don't love it as much as the XM18. Same way with the little half track. I love it. I don't love it as much as the XM18. A lot of people like the half track more than the XM18, but I have this brand loyalty, this sort of Hinderer loyalty that makes me go, you know what, I accept it. You know, like 100, even if like the Jurassic, that's my least favorite aesthetic design from Hinderer. And to this day, I've never handled one, right? But would I still like, do I think that I would still enjoy it? Yeah, because it's a Hinderer knife, and I would imagine the way that he would, given what I understand about Rick Hinderer and his design philosophy, I would handle that and pick it up, and I would just be like, oh, okay, this is why he, you know, created that back hump this way. I mean, you know, it does kind of look like a T-Rex from the Jurassic period, but I think I would understand. It would be easier for me to understand that coming from a place where I understand as much as I can Rick Hinderer's design philosophy. It's easy for me to come to that conclusion. Whereas, you know, the exact same design from another maker, I would probably still arrive at the same point, but it would take me a little bit longer because I would be, my brain would be trying to like figure out, was this done on purpose to create some sort of advantage in use, or was it just somebody's aesthetic design choice? You know, I don't know. That's kind of what I mean. Good example. Like something like this. So I'd look at that, like 3 years ago, I would look at this and go, what is this? You know, it's bright and colorful and all the line that none of that can be, you know, geared towards any sort of like use advantage. It's just meant to like draw people in, right? Well, it turns out, you know, as the knife world sort of evolved, and you know what grabs people's attention, and then me finding out Bestech does a great job working with people who have a good sense of design for aesthetics and ergonomics that sort of, you know, cater to what people are looking for nowadays. And of course, the rise in popularity for this sort of thumb slot, bearings, things like that. So when I saw that this was a Bestech, you guys saw it in the unboxing. I opened it up and it was a Bestech, and I was like, wow, that's colorful. And then I was like, I can't wait to flip it because I know the action's going to be great. I know the ergonomics are going to be great. I know that the jimping's going to be like, I know that because I expect it from Bestech, and I've decided that I like Bestech, right? So even something like that, which truthfully, aesthetically, that is not something I'd go after for myself at all. But it's made well, and the lines are going to be good, right? I mean, it's the same thing I talked about with Spyderco. I've always thought Spyderco knives were super ugly. PM2, one of the ugliest knives out there, but man, is it a good knife, right? That's brand loyalty, right? Now, sometimes, I mean, of course, like it can go too far. Like, let me give you a great example of where my brand loyalty and my love for something can potentially steer people in the wrong direction. The Medford Praetorian tie. I listed that as one of my dream knives, and it was because of a very specific lust for a very specific, you know, bias I had for massively overbuilt knives. It was created during 2013, 2014, back when that was really popular. When I discovered Jim Skelton's channel in 2013, and he was big into that, and so I was like, man, I've never seen anything like that, so I really want that. It was a $1,200 knife, so add on top of that lust a feeling of not being able to obtain it, and it was a generally unobtainable knife anyway. Secondary market prices on Praetorian ties were like through the roof. Standard D2 for $1,200, you'd be lucky to pay that. On the secondary market back then, those would go for $1,800, sometimes $2,000. Oh, I just wanted it, right? And I finally get my hands on it, and I blow it up, and I make a huge deal. To this day, by the way, if you go back and watch that video, I was so excited to do the video on it. And it still is just sitting there in 360p. You cannot watch that video in full 1080. I have no idea what happened. It just makes me mad. But you can go watch it, and you know, I try to like be honest with people, and I'm like, listen, this knife is so expensive. Nobody needs this. It's not performance oriented. It's just kind of a holy moly, this thing exists kind of thing, right? That's what it is. And but my excitement for it, and my, you know, how much what emphasis I put on Medford's ability to polish, you know, something that looks so big and clunky and aggressive. You know, I was like, but you know, it really is a very finished product. Everything is really nice and finished. And then sort of the lines between like usable and made well blur So I probably pushed at least a few people towards actually lusting after that knife for the wrong reasons, despite me trying to be transparent about how my thoughts should be translated, right? So the Praetorian Tie is a perfect example of a knife that I can't recommend to anybody, but I just loved it and I just had to have it, you know? And for the exact same reason, I'm super interested to see what knives Greg Medford comes out with in 2020, what new designs he's coming out with. Very interested. I know they will be expensive, but I also know that he is starting to step back from the massively overbuilt stuff. There's less stuff in his line that's a 1/4 inch stock with 165 thousandths tie on either side. And we're seeing more, you know, lighter weight stuff. It's still got that Medford overbuilt feel and look, but smaller, more compact. He's experimenting with different materials like aluminum, a lot more, S35VN. It wouldn't surprise me if we see some other stuff. We've seen S90V in DLT's exclusives for Medfords. We've seen S90V. We're seeing him cater more towards people who actually want to EDC his stuff, and we're actually seeing him pull back on some of his prices. His prices were mega high. It's controversial. Some people say Medfords are too high. Some people say they're spot on. Whatever. It's in the eye of the beholder. People are willing to pay for it, so things are worth whatever people are willing to pay in some cases. I'm just excited to see what he does. Absolutely. Is this the Friedrich custom? Good Lord, this is beautiful. Is it Aaron Frederick? Oh gosh, if I get that wrong, people are going to jump on me. There you go. Initials there. I believe I'm correct in assuming that. Beautiful knife from Mr. Jeff Goodnow. Thank you so much. I can't wait to talk about that one. But this type of excitement that is built up from brand loyalty, maker loyalty is fun. I also still have a massive brand loyalty. It's still there. It's been, imagine what I mean is my love for ZT, my loyalty to it is still there, but the bridge that's holding me, keeping me tethered to it is like a very old, in a movie when it's like the people going on the quest, they come to this canyon and there's a rickety bridge. It's like old rope and old rotten planks holding it together. And everybody knows as soon as they try to cross it, they're going to step and a board's going to break and, oh no, falling, hold my hand. That's basically what's got me being loyal to ZT. Like, I really hope that they turn some stuff around. That little slip joint that they come out with, that's pretty cool. But almost everything else that's currently available in their line, I'm like, So for that reason, I'm excited to see what they do in 2020. Does ZT, is my opinion widely shared by the knife community? A lot of you guys here in my comment section will repeat or echo what I'm saying. Yeah, ZT needs to return to their roots, but that doesn't mean that we're the vast majority. The reason that they may have changed might be because, and I don't know, might be because they're incredibly successful with this change, and they may, say, no, sorry, we're not gonna, go back to our roots because this is working for us. I'm excited to find out, though. Either way, I'm excited to find out. And I would imagine many of you will share that excitement. If you're new to this knife world, I think discovering the brands that you love is at least half the fun. And then finding out exactly why you like the brand and what other people say about it, and it bolsters, and you get so excited. So you're really excited, especially if you're the enthusiast collector part of this crowd. Then you're like, I can't wait to see the next thing, the next Bestech, the next Hinder, the next Spyderco, the next Microtech, right? I'm super excited to see what Guardian Tactical does in the future. They got some folders I was kind of, but their OTF game, oh my goodness, their OTF game is on point. So, anyways, guys, that was, as usual, very rambly. But that's going to be pretty much it for today's episode. If you guys enjoyed this or found it entertaining in any way, shape, or form, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.